The new live action Snow White by Disney already had an uphill battle to climb if they wanted to be successful, what with the fact that most people just aren't receptive of these live action remakes in general. And this one in particular, as you can see by the like to dislike ratio, over 1 million dislikes on this one. And the top comment up I still think is kind of funny. The biggest thing Disney accomplished from this trailer is leaving the comment section on. But we already know things are bad for it and they are likely going to be losing a lot of money on this movie. But now we're starting to learn some new information that looks like the losses might be even greater than what we initially thought. We have this article from That Park Place. It's talking about some of these rumors. Now, I will caveat that these are rumors and it's not been 100% confirmed as of this point, but yet the budget itself hasn't been confirmed by Disney at this point too. So you can make with this what you will, but it's saying the budget is not actually like around $300 million that we previously thought, but is closer to $500 million. And you heard that right. They spent $500 million on this movie if these rumors turn out to be true, or if it actually be somewhere close to that. The budget for the Walt Disney Company's live-action Snow White film starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot is rumored to have exploded to over $500 million. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, all things considered, because when you look at this movie, you don't think, now that's the most expensive movie of all time, but apparently that's what they did. Now, I'm not going to say that they actually spent that much money on this one, but I do think the budget for it is pretty ridiculous for what we're actually getting on screen. Even if it is a $200 million movie, from what I've seen so far, it definitely doesn't look like it. And we know for a fact, because of the tax filings on this, that they did spend over that much money on this movie. But I will continue on with where they're getting this information from. In a recent video upload of which this author appeared, WDW Pro shared, "I am told there have been 3 reshoots of this film and that Disney is now still working to fix the thing." He added, "And in particular, there are 2 areas that Disney is working to resolve before its release in March, which is just a few months away." And we do know that there are several reshoots, or at least he says 3 here. I know for a fact there was 2 that they did, because you know those set photos that got leaked in 2023 summer last year, where they were initially trying to say that wasn't from our movie. Then they came back and said like, okay, well that was from our movie, but those weren't official set photos or anything like that. That was the first reshoot, because when those photos were taken, at that point, principal photography had wrapped a year prior to that. They were doing those shoots. And then after that wrapped up, there was a lot of backlash to it. And then we got another round of reshoots later on that was confirmed by Gal Gadot this last summer. But I digress. Let's continue on. From there, WDW Pro shared 2 of the major problems that Disney is attempting to fix. First, he noted that the dwarfs have been roundly mocked. And that really started off when those set photos were leaked and people were saying it was, I think it was even Pro himself saying it was Snow White and the 7 dirty hippies. It just looked ridiculous. And when we got the first trailer where they had the CGI dwarfs for it, people were thinking, were they just scrambling to fix this and replace the actors with dwarfs now in this new version of it because people didn't like the direction they were going? Perhaps, but then the dwarfs themselves looked awful. So maybe they're trying to spend some more time and money in order to make them look a little bit better. But I don't think any polish is going to do anything significant, because if they released a trailer that featured the dwarfs, I can't see the final result deviating too far from what we got in the trailer. Maybe it'll look a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to really make a difference in how people perceive it. Of course, Sega and Paramount went back to work and redid the entire model. That's talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. When people didn't like the direction they're going with that, they changed it and people were happy about it. And as a result, a lot of people went out and supported that movie because, you know, they listened to the audience and did what the audience wanted. And that kind of ingratiated themselves with them. So people supported the movie and it was successful. And now we're getting the 3rd one in the franchise. Redid the entire film to make the character look like it does in the video games. With this one, they're not going to have that much time to do everything that needs to be done. And they have 7 models that need to be adjusted. And the other thing is, apparently they're going to try to adjust the color palette, the atmospherics of the movie to make it brighter and more lighthearted and make it more child friendly. It was deemed a little too dark, he added. He did say Disney is trying to do something that they normally don't try to do, which is to do things on the cheap, because they've already spent so much money on this movie. They can't really spend any more. It says here, we know that the film had a budget that was somewhere around $300 million. and they have overshot that significantly according to my sources. And this film is now heading towards The Force Awakens and The Rise of Palpatine. Yes, because the budget that he's talking about for this, even though $500 million or nearing that might seem crazy for a lot of people, that's not necessarily unusual for Disney. Just for curiosity, I pulled up this list from IGN. It was the most expensive movies of all time, and you can see The Force Awakens, $447 million for that movie. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, Rise of Skywalker, Pirates, Age of Ultron, Endgame. You get an idea. There's just a lot of these high budget movies, but one thing I thought it was kind of interesting when I went through this list, it has the top 12. Just counting them, 8 of them are Disney production movies, 9 if you count Avatar, which I really don't because that's a separate thing entirely, but still you can consider that part of Disney since it is owned by them. So yeah, Disney is not a stranger to spending nearly $500 million on this movie. So I could see them spending $500 million on the upcoming Snow White one because, they have the capital to do that. It's just a matter of whether that would be profitable for them, because unlike The Force Awakens, I really don't see them making their money back on this one. But, that's just kind of what they're doing. And to me, this does seem really plausible. This rumor has some significant validity to it, given Caroline Reed at Forbes reported that Disney's production company in the United Kingdom working on Snow White had already spent $209.3 million over 3 years as of July 2022. And like I pointed out before, the $200+ million that they spent by July of 2022, that's just counting principal photography. And I believe it started April of that year. So between the pre-production on this movie, then April and July of 2022, they spent over $200 million on this movie that we know of for sure. It's been over 2 years since then, and still time before the movie is going to be coming out. So they're going to be working on it up until the release of the film. So to me, it stands to reason that they have enough time to shoot a movie again and add another $200+ million on this, because this $200 million is just for the principal photography costs. It's not necessarily the post-production or anything else like that. Then when you tack on marketing too, yeah, I can see the $500 million mark being reached pretty easily, or at least that seems reasonable to me. And I think the question people have is, why are they spending so much money on this? Because does Disney really expect this movie to be profitable for them? Because at this rate, this needs to make over probably like $1.2, $1.3 billion in order for it to reach profitability for Disney. And I think they understand that. And I don't know if they're necessarily hoping that they'll actually get that mark. Well, let me rephrase that. I think they're hoping to get that mark because who won it? But I don't think they expect to actually reach that mark. I think the reason they're going about doing this is because of kind of in large part what we've seen with their movies in recent years, and especially with Wish last year, where that was supposed to be a love letter to all things Disney animation. It was their centennial movie and they wanted it to be special, and come to find out it was just an embarrassing disaster for them. And I'm thinking Disney is looking at Snow White because it's kind of in that same camp. It's the film that kind of launched Disney and made them what they are. So they want this to be a successful movie. And even if you measure success as in money gained, then yeah, they're probably going to lose out on that one. But I think what they're really trying to do is just not embarrass themselves with this movie. So I think they're willing to actually spend money in order to produce something that people like, even if it's not necessarily profitable for them. I think they'll rather go away with it knowing that they lost money, but people were satisfied with it, as opposed to making something that is people just aren't going to be satisfied with and is still going to lose money. Because I think the early reactions they were getting from a lot of the stuff going on behind the scenes, and when they're getting the reaction from the trailer, just goes to show like, okay, we're not going to make money on this one, so let's at least try to spend a little bit more money and make something that people can enjoy. Or at least maybe that's me being a little bit too optimistic. Realistically though, it could just be the fact that they're just completely incompetent over there. They don't know what they're doing. They lack creativity. So the only thing they can do is just write checks. So they're like, I don't know, this movie's not working. Let's just throw some more money at it and see if that will fix the problem. That's probably more likely the actual scenario. Maybe I'm being a little bit too generous with them by saying that they're actually trying to fix it. But either way you look at it, even if you don't believe necessarily that they're spending $500 million on this movie without marketing, or even with marketing for that matter, $200 million, even if that was all they spent on it and all those reshoots and everything that they did were free, I still think they would have a tough time making money on this one, because with a $200 million budget, that means this movie probably needs to make around maybe even $700 million in order for it to be profitable. And I personally have my doubts from what we've seen so far that this will actually even make that. So when it's all said and done, this is probably going to be the biggest box office bomb in Disney history, but I could be entirely wrong and this could be a runaway hit. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you think this is actually going to be successful for Disney? Do you think people are going to like it? Or do you think this is just going to be another failure that everyone points and laughs at and then moves on to the next thing? And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.